All right. Welcome everybody to another SIG scheduling meeting. Today is April 6th, 2023. My name is Aldo. I'm going to be your host today. As you know, this meeting is recorded, so please adhere to the CNCF code of conduct. All right, so we have a few topics in the agenda. The first one, Abdullah, I believe, we put this one. So Abdullah is working on the annual report for SIG scheduling. Do you want to talk about this, Abdullah?
No, just a note, please take a look. I will respond to the comments today. Just like a quick announcement that we have the report up for review. Please take a look. I guess once it's merged, we can talk about how we can do better.
I'm not hearing anything. I'm not sure if it's my audio.
Can anybody hear me?
I can hear Abdullah. So Aldo, can you hear me?
Aldo can't hear anybody.
All right. So maybe while waiting for Aldo to join the audio, we can continue the topic.
Yeah. Again, as I mentioned, just please take a look at the report. Once it's merged, maybe we can talk about it, how we can improve diversity, reviewers, having more reviewers helping us and whatnot.
Okay. And the next one is to redefine the ownership of the lifecycle controller. So basically, from my memory, it was developed by Klaus, who was the SIG scheduling co-chair by that time. And then, but in terms of functionality, actually the components cross SIG apps, I would say cross SIG node and SIG scheduling. So I think it was initially belonged to SIG scheduling, but later on was transferred the ownership to SIG node, I would say. And then now it seems there's some discussion to talking about maybe re-own it or redefine the ownership of the lifecycle controller. So I was in vacation during the time, so maybe Abdullah and Aldo, you can share more background, and then we can decide how to proceed with this.
Yeah, the reason why I opened the issue is because somebody was trying to propose a fix or some changes on a cap for in SIG apps, and then SIG apps was asking, why are you coming here? And then I realized that the original authors were SIG scheduler, and but basically the ownership is not defined in the code as labels or with approvers or specific approvers. So that's why I brought it up. But it sounds like it should be under our SIG. So if there are no concerns, we can send a PR to update the owner file.
Yeah, I will agree to that, because in the history perspective, it belongs to SIG scheduling. So everybody think although if it overlaps with other SIGs, maybe you can find a new home to go to SIG scheduling.
Just playing devil's advocate here, most of the controllers what the controller is doing is actually trying to understand the node status and then just applying a taint or like, yeah, applying taints basically. So why it was developed by someone from SIG scheduling in the past, I don't know if that behavior is something we are the experts to maintain, because I mean, applying the taints is not the biggest thing here in the controller. It's basically understanding what the node status is. So just take that into consideration. If we are going to take that in, we need to make sure that we know that we're expanding our area of expertise to how we translate the node status.
So basically, one of actually the KEP proposal is to split this controller into two, because it's doing two actions, it's doing basically two related but separate things. One is, yes, adding the taints to the nodes based on the status, and second, it is evicting pods that don't have the toleration. So maybe once the controller is split, it actually makes sense to give one of them to node and the other one keep it in SIG scheduling, because the taints and tolerations is under the domain of scheduling, right? So maybe that could be the outcome once the two functionalities are split into two controllers. Do you agree with that future setup? Of course, we have to bring it to SIG-node, but
yeah, that makes sense. I'm not opposed to taking ownership of it now. I'm just throwing that out, that this is not fully a SIG scheduling thing.
Yeah, I think maybe so. Basically, this kinds of piece code, we can have a top level on this files, and also with some subfolders. If that's very specific to SIG-node or SIG apps, we can follow the pattern that we involved Michelle or other. Sorry, we involve other SIG-node. Sorry, SIG storage folks like Michelle in some of our volume binding plugins, right? We can follow that pattern to have some sub-owners in some subfolders. So maybe that can work better to have mixed ownership. But in the top level, we have to have a explicit owners. How do you think of that?
That is true, actually. Yes. So the two functionalities are currently split in two folders. So we could already do the separation using the same pattern. So I'll craft a PR and send it for review to SIG-node and the rest, and SIG scheduling and SIG apps as well, of course, because they are the overall gatekeepers of Kube Controller Manager. So and then we can continue the discussion that way in the PR, maybe.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay. So that's it for that topic. I don't know if Kant is here. Is Kante here? No. I guess Kante wanted us to discuss because it's late in the East Asia time zone. So I can summarize what's going on here. Oh yes, actually he left this comment here. So this is an old feature that never graduated from alpha into other stages. Basically, what we have here is an admission plugin that can understand this annotation in a namespace object. And what the plugin does, what the admission plugin does, is that based on the annotation, it introduces a node selector into the nodes that match that are created in this namespace. So basically, it's defaulting node selectors for a namespace. And again, this never graduated from alpha. So there are two possibilities. One is to, well, graduate to beta, or remove the feature. I think Kante is proposing to proceed with a beta release. And we are kind of looking for feedback because feedback from the community, because this behavior can be achieved through webhooks today, right? So it's not clear whether this behavior should be part of upstream if there's no compelling use cases for this. So I would invite anybody in the community that is using this feature to jump into the discussion. But even if we proceed into a beta stage, most likely we should abandon the annotation approach because it's hard to validate and whatnot. So an alternative would be to provide let's say, an official webhook, or implement this still as an admission plugin, but based on a proper API field instead of an annotation. So there are a few possibilities there. So if you're interested, please get into this issue. And I believe Kante shared either a doc or a PR. Maybe not. Yeah, so please jump into the discussion if you're interested. So any thoughts from the other leads or the community here? Okay. Any last minute questions or topics from the others, from the anybody in the meeting? Okay. Well, actually, I'll actually prompt Wei and Abdullah if you have any are you leaning in any direction in respect to this topic of the admission plugin?
I would, like, if it were up to me, I would deprecate. I think we have a proper solution in webhooks, but I would ask people who have been like Kubernetes much longer, like Clayton and others, and Jordan, whether they consider an alpha feature that's been there for ages as almost like a de facto supported thing, and that we shouldn't deprecate. Just because it's been there for a very, very, very long time, and some people have used it like started to think that it is just it's part of the.
So my thinking in terms of deprecation would be that we take some time, we announce it, and then we remove it in, let's say, as any other beta feature, let's say 3 releases. But the question still remains whether we should keep the behavior, regardless of how long we take it to how long the deprecation process takes. And we have, I guess the closest precedence I can think of that does a similar thing would be limit ranges, which actually I don't remember if they are namespaced or not. But that's kind of like the defaulting, the only default pod defaulting mechanism that I can think of that kind of could be used as precedence. But regardless of back again to deprecation, the annotation has alpha in the name, so definitely cannot stay like that. So we'll have to change it. We'll have to find a better API, and we will have to deprecate in a staged manner to avoid breaking users unexpectedly. Okay, it doesn't sound like there is a particular decision here. I'll try to involve Jordan and Clayton on this topic. Okay. So with that, we can end the meeting early today, as there are no more questions. Oh, last minute, shameless plug. The queue sub-project within SIG scheduling is getting a release soon. I'm hoping by the end of today. So expect that to come soon. And if you have questions about queue, you can ask in SIG scheduling or in working group batch, but preferably in working group batch channels. Okay, so with that, we'll close the meeting for today. Thank you all for coming. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, bye.